talking about operational tasks that are kind of bogging you down, things that are taking a lot of your time. You are volunteers, and so your time is valuable because you are offering that to your chapter. And what is it that you feel that you're doing for the chapter that is slowing things up or taking a lot of your time? Amanda, did you come off mute?
I didn't mean to. But since I'm off mute, I'll just say currently what's taking the most of our focus, we're right in the middle of strategic planning, and our president-elect has had to resign for some personal reasons. So we're trying to figure out, especially with regard to conference coming up, who are we going to appoint into that position? And our only choices are people who have just recently also served as chapter president.
Right.
So we're trying to juggle that right now.
That is challenging. Does anyone else been in a situation like that where they've lost a president-elect going into mid-year of their president-elect term?
We
No.
we have the same situation here in Tennessee, but we had other um, applicants, and so we have filled it, and they will be at the conference.
Excellent. Yes, Faye had been in touch about that. Yeah, I know, Amanda, it's tough. I just heard about this earlier this week. I know Crystal's been aware and has talked with Carissa about it, and that is a tough situation. As far as the conference goes, if someone is not in place by the time it's ready to go, we do offer a virtual president-elect training session over the summer for those few that were not able to make it. And so worst comes to worst in your position when it comes that time, that'll also be something that we can offer to that person if you're able to get that into place. Um, and that's good. Talking about strategic planning, has anyone started talking about that this year yet?
Well, you could tell about a chapter has been doing their strategic planning for the upcoming year, but I was going to comment on your first question about what takes up the time of the officers and corporation, the president-elect.
Yes.
And really what I've seen in the years I've had is that you get bogged down with worry about what if. And I'd like to encourage you, what our chapter's done, our current president has corralled me to be his personal assistant. So it's not all on his shoulders. And when he gets to a point where he feels overwhelmed, he just calls me and we talk about it and get it all off the table so that there's no worry on his part of how things are happening. And I think that every president ought to have somebody standing by their side they can call upon when they feel like they've got questions or they're nervous about something, because that makes it much nicer, calm.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, relying on your peers, having that someone to sounding board is huge just to be able to get those things out and have someone to listen to. Does anyone else have a good number two on their board that they work with? Candace, you have someone?
Yeah, I mean, we really work as a group. Granted, when you're president, you don't get a choice on who your executive committee necessarily is going to be because the rest of the board votes for them. However, with some strategic positioning and suggesting of, well, bringing out the capabilities and qualities of people who could best help, and making them aware, the rest of the board aware, of what those were. It ended up, I have a good executive committee that helps supports and what I need. So our president-elect is PCAM also, and she is a manager. She also works for a developer. And so, and prior to her getting on the board, she did a lot of work volunteering with the chapter and with our previous executive director and transitioning our current executive director in. So she did have a lot of good institutional knowledge. So it just made sense that obviously she would throw her name in the hat. And so through this process and just knowing that what it felt like being president-elect last year and what I know she's going to need to do next year, I started already bringing her into the loop on things so that she's set up in a way. And so I rely on her to assist as well as to give her some insight on what's going to be needed. So she's already a part of the conversations, but knowing that she's going to have to come up with her goals and everything and kind of have some sort of an idea before she comes to conference and expo of what she wants out of her year. I already told her, like, you need to start thinking about that. So you come into this conversation already kind of prepared with what you think you want to do. And then when you're in the bigger room with other president-elect and you have that conversation, it might shift, it might change, or you might be able to offer suggestions. But, you know, as we head into our chapter's budget season next month, obviously, you know, for her, she's going to already have to have these ideas and plans in place of what she's going to want to see as a president. And so having her already part of the conversation and helping with certain things has been a huge help. So I have past presidents and other people who have seen past presidents, you know, be stressed and stuff with our previous executive director just because of the way she worked. Um, Asked me how things were going, and if I'm stressed, and I'm like, no, I'm great. I got a fantastic executive director who was just recognized by CAI for being Rising Star. And I have a good group of executive committee people that are, you know, it's all spread out, you know, so we're all helping each other and not just having the weight just on one person. And ideally, it's, you know, coming into presidency, that was the plan. I'm like, why is one person stressing and the rest aren't? You got to spread it out. You got to fan out what's needed and delegate.
Awesome. Thank you, Candace. All right. What else is bogging you guys down? What's on your plates?
The previous leadership didn't do a lot of like documentation on previous stuff, especially relating to like reviewing our CED and stuff like that. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to bring everything back into compliance and lined up and make sure everything's in writing and that in things where the CED is saying he's, you know, he gets, which we believe him when he says that, but there's no documentation on anything like that. So just doing my research and trying to get all that lined up so that future leadership has all the supporting documentation. And then we're having also struggles with building strong committees, particularly having strong committee chairs that stay.
Okay.
We think we got one and then they leave. And most of the time it's just for time. They find they don't have the time to volunteer and put 100% into it. So
Sure.
those are our biggest, my time sucks. So I liaison turned chair at times when I don't have the time for that. So
Sure. I can understand that. For your the documentation aspect and the CED review part of that, have you had a chance to be able to use any of the resources from the chapter leader toolkit to help with that? Or do you need any more assistance with that?
yeah, I actually have been using that. It's been great, and I'm trying to keep things similar so that when someone's reviewed, that's always the same parameters and stuff with the leadership changing so consistently. I'm trying to build that we have all that consistency. But yes, Alicia has helped us and I've used the leadership. It took me a while to find it for a minute. I thought I had it, but I think I had the old one when it was on the other website link, but I found it. And so, yes, I do have some of that stuff. So I think we're there now. We're doing the review on Wednesday. I think we have everything, but it really has been a time suck for me.
Sure, I can understand that. Just to build on that, for anyone who wasn't sure, there is something that called the Chapter Leader Toolkit that is offered to all of the chapter leadership, specifically you and your CEDs, that has templates for things like Deanna is talking about. And so if you don't have a system in place right now to evaluate your CED, there are resources that are already made available to you that you can customize for your own use as you need, but it at least gives you a starting place. And that is just one example of a lot of templates that we offer to the chapters, whether your CED knows about it or you know about it. There's a lot of great resources in there. So if you do have any questions ever about that or how to access that or not sure if there's something in there that you're looking for, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you find that. Thanks, Deanna.
No, my pleasure.
So I'll kind of go, we'll feed into this next question, I think one of the things, some of your CEDs joined us, I think it was this past month in April, for a HQ all hands that included the CEDs. So here at CAI HQ, we have a monthly all hands meeting that gets us all together and to talk about how things are going, our initiatives, and what we're looking forward to as we're continuing through our months and through our fiscal year. And so we had started this year having your CEDs join us on that call. So they get invited to this once quarterly where we all get together and discuss those things. And so we hope that some of your CEDs may have brought things back to you about some of the initiatives that we're working on here at HQ. And as I think probably most of you know now, we had a change in our CED, or in our CEO. Dawn started taking over as our CEO last July. So we're coming up on almost a year now. And we are coming up on the end of our fiscal year because we run July to June. And what they are working on right now is our strategic plans going forward, which is something kind of new for us here. And having Dawn, if you weren't aware, used to run the CAI Washington chapter before coming over to CAI HQ and then holding a number of different positions here. And one of her focuses as we're looking at the strategic planning and moving into the next year and the years in front of that is to help chapters as best that we can, specifically you guys too, the volunteers, make sure that your job is as easy as possible. There's certainly there are going to be things that come up throughout the year that I know some of you have brought up today that are going to kind of stick some sticks in your spokes and kind of slow things down and bog you down. And here at HQ, we care a lot about that and doing what we can to streamline what we can for you. And so looking ahead in that regard, what more can we do? What do you see as something that could be more of a standardized support from here at HQ, shared services or tools that maybe could help you and help the future leaders of your chapter be more successful and have more time of your own to do your own things so you don't have to get bogged down on volunteer work that you're doing?
Is there something that, so recently we kind of did a call for, we're focused on outreach this year and growing our membership. And one of the things that luckily over the last, I would say 3 months, we have gotten some interest from various places, some which we may be bringing to national because some are national organizations. But it dawned on me that, you know, I wonder if there's like a flyer or a brochure or something that National could create that would help us, that we could just download and slap our chapter's logo on, that we could just market to our local counties and our local organizations about how we can assist. So, for example, one organization reached out to us, or it's a county organization, Neighborhood Assistance Services. So next week I'll actually be doing a keynote presentation for them about, you know, what we can as a chapter offer. It's their annual neighborhood conference. And, you know, but we're surrounded by so many counties and not all of them do a neighborhood conference, but it was one of those things where we're going to be promoting a lot of the CAI's materials and resources that are available within that presentation. And so it just dawned on me that it would be nice if we could just, if there was like a flyer or something we could download that says, hey, did you know you might have a local chapter and here's what your chapter could do for you, or how you can, your chapter could be a resource for you instead of each one of us creating our own separate chapter flyer. Is there, because I didn't see something like that in its full kit, but something to give us more marketing, not to homeowner volunteers, but specifically to, you know, local organizations and counties and stuff like that about how they can rely on us as a resource.
I don't think we have anything like that, but that is a good request. It's something that I will bring to the table to Kelly and Crystal and Alicia and see what we can do with that. I know in terms of local things, I know Coachella talked about this. I don't remember if it was last month, what you guys were doing with the cities, the local cities around you and working on those type of things. Was that right, Stephen?
That's right. And Bruce can speak to it as well, but we actually went out to all the cities and now we've got every city council member, we have 9 cities out here in our area. And every one of us now we've got their email address. We're sending them a copy, an electronic copy of our magazine, and we're getting them involved that way. We're now setting up meetings with the city councils. We meet with Ranch Mirage City Council on the 21st, and we share with them what CAI has to offer to all of their homeowner associations in their city. And what we're finding out, as I mentioned last month, most of the cities didn't even know we existed. They just weren't aware of us. And so what you're doing to get involved with the cities is great. One way to start that out would be find out their email address, get them on your list so you can get stuff going their direction so they become aware of your name.
Excellent. But yes, Candace, and I think that's a great
This is
example of what
security
we're
advisory.
talking about.
Please use the-
Having templates,
So,
having things that are easy for you to use and put right into action.
By calling 911.
There we go. Thanks,
Yeah,
Bruce.
there you go. But yes, thank you, Candace. I made a note for myself here on that. And thank you, Stephen, again, for telling us about the things that you guys are working on. Terry, what you got for me?
I don't know if it's exactly what you were looking for, Candace, but our chapter has 2 different things. There's a flyer and there's like a postcard, a large postcard thing. I don't know where they came from. I just know they were in the bin that was handed to me when I represented CAI at a board seminar. I can find out. But one of them was basically like, what is CAI? And this is kind of what we do. And the other one outlined the benefits of membership specifically. But they look fairly recent. I can ask where they came from.
Yeah, so the benefit of membership is a 1-pager,
Right.
front and back. Yes. So that one, I try to think who is that mostly geared towards.
It seemed, well, it was for our
They
board.
have that,
board members.
yeah.
Right.
Do you
we
have
that.
the little postcard thing too?
Yeah, so that is like trying to get people to be members, and what we're trying to do is reach out to organizations and get and for them to reach out to us to either we can be their keynote speaker, we can provide education and resources to them at their event, or we can, be relied upon when they're trying to. So, like for example, this particular situation at this local, it's a small city. And they're having issues because they have a lot of new development, a lot of new developers. And so they have a lot of homeowners who've never purchased a brand new constructed home. And so there's a disconnect of education there and within the actual county as well, at their organization level. One is like, for example, they're saying like, oh yeah, just tell them to change the documents. And I'm like, right, because that's easy, right? You just go and you change some words, print it out, and then file it with the county, and everything's easy breezy, right? Like, what are you referring? How are you educating? They're not educating their homeowners, right? So it's like it's a kind of a 2-step process. First, they need to get educated, because it's not that easy. And then second, like, let's get in front of your homeowners and give them the correct information on that. So if we had a flyer and we're working on it right now, essentially just trying to pull it from the presentation that I created, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, wait a minute, if National already has something like this, because I know National does a lot of outreach for, political action committees and with state legislatures and, legislative, like there might already be something like that available. That's why I was asking if it is, can I see it? Can I find it? Or is this kind of I finished creating this flyer and send it to you all and you guys go, yeah, let's tweak it here and there or something like that. But yeah, so we're not looking for something where it's pushing membership. We're looking for something that we can push as a resource.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for explaining that, Candace. And I think that again fits a lot into what the guys are doing out in Coachella Valley, and doing that and being able to get up in front of people who may want to be able to know who we are, but getting in touch with the people who can put us in those positions to get up in front of those people is the key part. Great. Thank you, Candace. And hello, Kelly. Thanks for joining us. All right. So again, talking about what else can be done to help support you in your roles at the chapters. What can you think of that would make your jobs maybe easier?
And while you guys are thinking on this, Lawrence, I apologize. I was with our government and public affairs team talking about through black guidelines and things like that. So sorry I'm a little late to this call. So if you guys did talk about this already, one thing, we have a group of chapter executive directors that meets monthly and just talks about different resources that would be great for board members, for staff, for overall the organization. And one thing that came up recently was more type of micro learning videos for your board of directors at the chapter level, or specific resources geared towards specific positions within the chapter. So for the treasurer, for the secretary, things like that, that are easy to digest, similar to the president-elect videos that you guys all watched last year, you know, kind of here's what CAA is, here's our membership types. So they're starting to kind of talk about that got brought up recently of can we make some of these that would be beneficial for the board as a whole to get things on board with that. So I would like to throw out that concept to this group too, that is there anything you wish you could have for your board of directors that we've shared or we make that you could easily say, hey, watch this 2-minute video to get this better understanding, or here's this resource for you? Or do you think that's a completely ludicrous idea and you're like, please do not do that. No one is going to watch it, or we don't want to share that. So either way is perfectly fine, but I figured I'd bring it up since we're kind of in that part of the discussion right now.
What about something to share with folks that are considering running for the board?
Absolutely. Yep, that prospect board members.
Yeah, I was going to recommend the same thing.
Okay.
Our particular board is full of past presidents. So I think that that's a great idea. It wouldn't work for us currently, but I do like the idea of putting something out for prospective board members.
Okay. And even to that, Amanda, knowing that piece, you know, things have changed, right, over the course of the past, you know, even 5 years, but even if we go back to 10, that as we get people on, I've had some conversations with board members that are like, well, we did this in 2015, and we're like, we're not functioning at the same level or the same expectations or needs as that. So is there anything specifically for that group that maybe they've been around for a long time that would also be good to say like, hey, this is different, or this has changed in that course of time?
Well, in my specific case, I have the 4 most recent past presidents. So, I mean, it's all within the last, it's our current
Small
directors
group
are
of
people
time.
that have been board presidents within the last 5 years.
Okay, perfect.
That that's interesting. I wonder if there's something that could talk specifically to recruiting, how to recruit other leaders, how to raise up other leaders, how to be a leader that searches for a leader, what the leader qualities are that would be best to serve your board. So you could start, you know, picking it. So like when our call for nominations went out, I reached out to a few people to make sure they got the email. I was like, you got this email, right? And I left it at that. And you know, they actually ended up applying. Not all of them got on the board, but it started triggering like, you know, hey, you know, maybe this is something I should look at. And then the other thing is, your original question was what could the current board, if something for them. One thing I struggled with when I first joined the board was still, because I had the passion of still serving on some of the committees, which did not go well because I thought I was there, you know, as a committee member. And people were like, no, she's on the board. So during meetings, I'd like be all of a sudden I'd be put on the spot of, well, with the previous executive director would go, well, Candace is here. She's on the board. She can speak for the board. I'm like, whoa, like I'm not authorized to represent the board in this conversation. Like I'm here giving you my opinion as as a committee member and not a board member. And then so I stopped going to committee meetings because it was difficult. And I'm like, I'm not speaking for the board just because I offer an opinion. Doesn't mean you all need to take that direction. And then, because I don't want to go to a board meeting and the other board members be like, well, Candace was at the meeting and she told us to do X. So something to help navigate that, tips or tricks on how to navigate that transition piece. And then because it is an issue, I had to have a conversation with the current board member because he was at a meeting and he had ideas and he didn't realize he was now being seen as a board member. They didn't specifically call him out, but what transpired from him suggesting certain things was after the meeting, I got a phone call saying, oh, the board's decided to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, what are you talking about? And it was like, oh yeah, he was at the meeting and he said it would be great if we could do these things. And I was like, this has not even been brought to the board. It's not been a discussion. Like they were speaking as a committee member. That is their opinion, So I'm like, I wish Zoom meetings could come with like the little fine print at the bottom where it says I'm here as a committee member and not a board member, and anything I say or do does not represent the opinions of the entire board. But something that can help with that, because that is, I think, beyond CAI, just even in our own businesses. As we all rise up to a leadership position, people see us differently, and I think we get stuck into the cycle of thinking we're still the same person and being seen as the same person because we are the same person. We didn't know everybody else changed their mind and decided to see us differently. So I think something like that would help is, just being mindful that now you're on the board. Be careful, you can still attend and participate with committees, but be mindful of X, Y, and Z. If we could just like forward that out or something as people join the board and those little tips and tricks or something.
I do have a question because I know a couple of our larger chapters, I know this is harder for some of our smaller chapters specifically, but that as you come onto the board, you are not active in a participation role within committees any longer. That your only role within a committee is that you're a liaison, so that it breaks down some of that perception. But if a board member is in, but I was just curious if anyone on this call had that sort of setup, or if you still allow your board members to participate as committee members. And I see a lot of shaking heads of yes. Terry,
We
go ahead.
do.
We
Yeah.
do. We allow them to be committee members.
We're
Our
pretty
direct-
small though, so we need the help.
Yes.
Ours serve as liaisons, and I think that our ED does a good job of making that very clear to the committee members each year.
Okay. And so that might be a size-based type of recommendation, even that we can help guide with chapters and the executive directors and again, future leaders like yourselves of taking a look at your volunteer needs and does it make sense to keep a board member on as a committee member versus a liaison role, and kind of where that happens. We've noticed there's certain chapter sizes that once you kind of reach a certain level, certain things start to change and you need different resources or policies in place. So I think that can be one of maybe those triggers that we can look into and discuss some guidance to give all of you on that as well.
I will say that we actually put it on our agendas. So for each committee meeting, at the beginning of the meeting, there's a section for liaison updates. So I think that also helps clarify the position. Like I'm here attending on behalf of the board. I'm here to offer you updates, but also anything that you need from the board, it's my job to take that back to the board. So I think it makes it very clear what my role in interacting with the committees is. So maybe that might help kind of set the tone for committee meetings and board member participation.
On the committee agendas, you have that liaison update? Okay, gotcha.
It's right at the beginning of the meeting. So before they dive into committee business, it's, hey, let's hear the updates from the board. And then at the end of the meeting, is there anything that the liaison needs to take back to the board on behalf of the committee?
That's great. Thank you for that recommendation. Alonda?
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback on what she was saying is that what we've done also is since me becoming president, what we found effective a few years back, also when I was on the board, was to have the committee chair in the beginning of the board meetings to have them share what they're doing in their committee, share about deadlines, also to find out if there's anything else that we need from them needing from us from the board that we can help them with. And it keeps everybody really in alignment with, okay, this is what we're doing for the members. This is what we found to be successful. These are some of the things that we found that we need to improve upon. And I think it also helps to encourage those chairs to then look about to coming on to become a board member. And then we do they can either stay or they can, they could be dismissed, and they are only observants then of the board meeting. So that's something else too that may help, because we do know at times it gets a little bit difficult to get new board members, and having them feel more included seems like that helps to them to see, oh, this is what it looks like. Oh, I could do this. This is not going to be as crazy as what I thought it was. And, I'll still be able to put the time into it and not feel like I'm overwhelmed.
Great. Thank you. All right. Sorry, Lawrence. I know I kind of hijacked that for a minute there.
No, that was very helpful. Thank you.
One other thing, because I know we're talking about kind of streamlining things that you need. We have asked all of your chapter executive directors to fill out kind of an operational style survey about what's going on. For some of you, if you have a newer CED, they might ask you some questions. I'm looking around who's here. I don't really think there'll be much from most of your staff. But this is going to be a great resource. So it's a portal that your executive directors will have access to and can actually compare to all the other chapters around the country. So I know a lot of the times we get how many other large chapters, how many events are they holding? What is the average attendance percentage from homeowners or from the managers in those types of chapters? What are they charging for sponsorship? Things like that. So they'll have access to go in and pull that data live, to do charts, to give back to you. So I really recommend, checking in with your chapter executive directors, see if they went ahead and already did this survey. But we're hoping to be able to have them have access to the results this summer so that you guys can do that. And then every few years, we will do this survey again, and you can benchmark against your previous data as well. So again, you can kind of see the future path of the chapter in the future when we do this again. But just wanted to let you know that that's coming down the pipeline to be able to compare yourself and kind of get a bigger picture of what's going on across the country. Stephen, I saw you came off mute for a second. Did you want to?
No, that was a slip of my finger. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Renee did mention it. She's like, it was a lot of, it looks like it's going to take some time to fill it out thoughtfully or something. So it is a couple of hours.
I don't know. It shouldn't take a couple hours. I think on average right now it's taking about 45 minutes for CEDs.
If everything's together. Okay.
It looks like a lot. And some of it, and again, I know Renee is a little bit newer in the role, so it might not just be like, yep, these are all the things we have and the price points and stuff. So it might take her a little bit longer. But I'll check in with her because it definitely shouldn't take over an hour and a half for them to be able to complete. So I'll touch base with her on that.
Okay. Perfect. I did have one thing actually not related to my specific chapter, but I'm a member of 3 chapters. So I happened to be at a smaller chapter for their event and doing an education session for them. And the conversation came up of, it was interesting. It was the first time I did an education event for them, and just how the chapters handle the CEU credit tracking, and so that the chapter offices can send their certificates, and it's not all the same process. And so I guess, how are you, clearly national conference, like we get the credits or whatever, but I guess, what type of resources or tips do you give to executive directors on how to easily do that, so they're not bogged down in 50 million emails or signing certificates, or processing the certificates after, which prevents them from even checking their email for the 2 days after conference because of these certificates. Like, is there a streamlined process or something?
There is. So if there is a specific person that's having an issue, please let them know to connect with us, because it is a much simpler, streamed process than in the past. We don't require a sign-in or anything like that. KMICB does ask for an attendance verification list to be sent to them post. Some, again, they go, okay, whatever, whoever didn't pick up their badge, they didn't show up, so they're off the attendance list. Some are as simple as that. There are some states that do have additional requirements. They're kind of doing double duty of both KMICB credits and then other state requirements, especially some of our legal seminars. Again, we have attorney credits and things like that. So sometimes it's easier just to do the same process for all instead of piecing it out. Some of those do require a sign in and sign out, minimum requirements, things like that. Some require them to write in their license number for certain states with that. So I would say, if they're going deep because of a state law, go with those state requirements and make sure that that's the most effective way. Again, if your staff's unsure, please have them call me. I have a background with credentialing, especially legal credits, and kind of different ways to go about that are more efficient and easier to track, especially now with technology. But from KMICB, they just need an email that states you attended this course and it was worth, 1 hour of credit. So if your chapter staff is still spending hours or days doing personalized certificates, I think there's a way to move past that. And that just might be an old habit just based on past requirements that were needed. But that is not the case any longer. We do have templates with it. I know there's one chapter, I don't think they're on the call right now, people like a physical certificate, so they just have them pre-printed out, and as they're leaving for the day, they're taking that physical certificate with them. But I would say that's an outlier at this point. Most are digital, and it can just be that email, and that can go to everybody. It doesn't have to be that personalized. So here's our attendees for the day. They get that email that you've been confirmed for this credit hour. So
okay, I'll shoot an email to that executive director,
yes,
and copy you on it.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, like, why?
Yes.
What is required?
You're like,
Thank
why
you
are we
so
making
much.
this so much more difficult? Yes, we're trying not to make it difficult. So if you are noticing that at your chapter level, or if the credit piece seems difficult, please recommend to have them touch base with us at the headquarters office, and we can walk through that with them. We want to make their lives easier too. We don't want to make them do the extra work if they don't have to. All right, it looks like there's about 5 minutes left. Did anyone want to bring up anything else? Stephen?
Yeah, I've got a question that might be something that staff could help us with. We are now, because of the the recertification of chapters, the new requirement last year, I think it was we now get an audit, and we're finding proposals for audits coming back fairly expensive. Do you think staff could arrange to get a survey of all the CEDs and see what the range of audit costs have been for the chapters? So we kind of can get some kind of feeling for what's right and what's not.
We can definitely take a look at that. I don't know that we can ask the CEDs to get it for you or for us. Stephen, do you know, have you guys looked into the list that was provided, or was it an off person that you guys sent this to? Because I know we provided a list to all the CEDs as well of the past companies that chapters had worked with directly in
I'll
terms
make
of
sure our
that.
CED's got that, because Holly
Okay.
probably does have it. But I was just
Okay.
noting that we now have a new finance committee and we're talking about things, and
Mhm.
somebody came back and said, "Oh my God, this seems fairly expensive for an audit. Why such an expensive audit for a simple little organization?" Well, I haven't even looked into it. So I thought, well, the best way to find out if your audit's too expensive or not expensive enough is talk to other people in the same industry and see what the cost range is. You know,
Yeah. I know for the full audits, I will say it ranged anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000 for some chapters. And that was for a full audit, not for the
Right.
review piece of it.
That's going to be a little difficult to compare because it depends on how many accounts each chapter has. So,
Mhm.
like if you were to look at the cost for our audit, it would probably be significantly different than a chapter that didn't have the responsibility of managing the LAC account, managing we have a Virginia leadership account that we manage because of all the CAI chapters within Virginia get together once a year, but we manage the finances and account and managing some of the other accounts. So comparing like our audit costs to our neighboring chapters audit costs will be significantly different. So if you are going to put the question out there, I think that would be another question is, well, how many accounts does the chapter have to have audited? So that way Stephen could have a better frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't want to make any promises, Stephen, because I know sometimes that's hard to collect that information, and knowing that we're going into that second part of the year, I don't want that to hold up your process of confirming an auditor and going through that with it due in January. So just also want to be conscious of that time
Yeah, what
period.
I want to do is I want to calm the waters with the other finance committee members and say, guys, it may seem expensive, but when you look at it nationally, you know what, we're in the average, and that's what I want to be able to say, so that we can
Got it.
calm the water.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
And I dropped the link for what I was talking about before, the chapter leader toolkit. I just dropped a link in the chat for everybody. If you hadn't checked that out before, you do all have access to that. And if you have any problems with the access, please let me know.
Awesome. How many of you are coming to the annual conference next month? Awesome. Lawrence sent out that agenda last week, so you should have a copy of that. Just as a reminder for the Chapter Leader Lounge, I know in the past that's really been closed to the president, president-elect, and CED, but we are having some specialized sessions. For example, the young leaders, we have a group of actual young leader committees coming in to share with how they got started, allow for questions from anyone who's interested in starting it at the chapter level. So you might have a volunteer with you who's interested in that or might take on that effort with your chapter. So when you look at the agenda, if there's something that stands out that you say, hey, I really wish Sally could hear this, please bring them into that space with you. So don't feel like if there's someone that's with you as a part of your chapter that would benefit from one of the conversations or sessions, to go ahead and bring them into the lounge with you for that. So more the merrier for those sessions specifically.
Kelly, who sent that out? Because I don't think I received it.
That's from Lawrence.
Oh, Lawrence. Okay.
Yep.
And Della, I can check and make sure it gets sent to you.
Yeah, I may. Your name was kind of unfamiliar to me today when I looked at it, so it may have gone to junk. I'm sorry.
No,
I'll make
problem.
sure that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, get out of here, Lawrence. I don't know you. Appreciate that. But if anyone else is missing it, and well, Lawrence is going to be sending a lot of our communications moving forward. So definitely recommend flagging his name. I think that's great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Lawrence, thank you for leading the discussion today. For those of you traveling in to Fort Lauderdale, looking forward to seeing you at conference. Safe travels. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. So lots of things to be happy and celebrate this month. And we are looking forward to seeing you in sunny Florida. Hopefully it stays sunny down there for us. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Happy May.